week, some documents was released by the U.S. District Court of Illinois regarding Tinubu's drug dealing or maybe money laundering dealings in the past. And this is actually a very bad thing for the country because this is basically a foreign government trying to meddle in another country's election. And this is exactly the same thing that the Americans have actually been shouting and fighting about for the past years since 2015, shouting about Russia getting involved in the election, electing Donald Trump and stuff like that. And which at up until today they've not been able to even bring up an evidence to actually back up. And they are trying to do the same thing to a country that is way, 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 way less powerful than them, which is Nigeria. My point is this: I'm not trying to defend any candidate, and I'm not against any candidate because I know a lot of people will see this and be like, "Oh, this guy is Tinubu's guy" and stuff like that. But that's not it. It is actually about the democracy of the nation, or should I say, the leadership of the nation. Because when this is how things work in post-colonial, there are phases that a country will need to go through. The first phase is going to be the phase whereby the country will still be under the colonial master, which happened to Nigeria from 1960 to 1966, whereby the Queen was still the head of state. If you can remember, now we call our president the head of state. Anybody that is the head of state is actually the person that is calling the shot in the country. And then the second phase is actually the coup d'etat phase, where the leaders will come together, start fighting, and try to actually get a balance. It happens to every country. You could check the history of most country. It happens to them. So the the leading the ruling powers or the ruling class, they will come up and they will try to establish exactly what that ruling class is going to be at the end of the day. They will kill themselves. They will do all sort of violent stuff. I think everybody understand what the meaning of coup d'etat. Like, it's just going to be completely military dictatorship and then killing, rioting, and stuff like that. And then Nigeria has gone through that process. Nigeria has survived that process. And then in 1999, Nigeria became a stable government. We now have a stable political leaders, like ruling leaders. I know I've been using the word ruling leaders, and people don't really like that word, the ruling class. But at the end of the day, that's exactly what happened in every country. The ruling class now have the whole power and autonomy, and that has started in 1999. And they are going to mature, and they've been doing that over the years. And that's one of the reasons why people like Obasanjo and people like and the present President Buhari are back in power now because they fought during that time of the coup d'etat when everything is completely chaos, and they are still trying to establish the ruling class. And now they are the ruling class, and that's the reason why they kind of appear to be the ones that are still ruling us now. Yeah, and I think people need to understand this. When you now get to this level, and things start to get better from here because now you understand who the leaders are. The leaders are now making decisions that favors themselves, and then this is how politics work. People need to understand this. When the leaders are making decisions that favor them and other countries, other foreign countries, most times it never favors the citizens. But when the leaders now started making decisions that favor themselves, at some point they will start making decisions that also favor the citizens as well, because at that time they need to keep their power and then they need to keep the citizens happy. and then from there development starts. And then Nigeria has come a long way, but we still have a long way to go. And then any disruption in our political system at this time is actually going to be a big setback, and that's something that we really need to fight against. US releasing all those documents is actually a very bad thing for the country, because if US actually have an ulterior motive in this election and then they install a puppet government in Nigeria, then that means that we are going to be back to the post-colonial era. Then we need to start all over again, and then probably maybe we will have another civil war. And that's something that we need to actually avoid and prevent. We don't need any government. We don't need any foreign government to come and get involved in our election at the level that we are. We have matured up to the level where we can decide who our governments, who our leaders are going to be. And from here, we will establish a ruling class that has the same agenda, the same vision as the citizens. So that's where we are driving at. We don't want any setback, and that's the reason why we need to be all against what the US is doing.